Welcome back to episode 2, I suppose, of this little series. Got a lot to update about the week that I've had, and I'm just uploading on YouTube now to get that weekly, document my journey really, week by week. So I'll start off by showing you what message I got at the beginning of the week. So now, basically, my main web developer has decided to leave. He messaged me that on Tuesday, and to be honest, it was a bit of a shock to me because, it runs so well and the business does run so well. But for him, he explained his reasoning. I asked for feedback and he said to me, honestly, there's no negative feedback. It's not how the business was run, the business run really well. It's just the fact he's a year below me, and I think he wants to enjoy his, youth while he can. He's made a decent amount of money, so he probably just wants to go and enjoy that now. And he was like, it's due to, personal reasons. It's nothing to do with, having a better offer, not making enough money, any reasons like that. And, it did make me sit there and think, not everyone does want to be rich and successful and, make all this money online. And to be honest, from my point of view, I've got to understand that, it was obviously a difficult message to receive and also to send from his side. But, everyone wants different things in life. It's not necessarily about making as much money as possible, because you do have to enjoy your life. And if you want to, live while you're young, and leave work till older, then, it's what people want out of life and the differences in people. So it was difficult for me to obviously receive that message, especially when, we've got paying clients who want updating, and, I've got calls with new clients this week and next week. So it's like, I want to be able to offer our services, but without him, we actually don't have a service. Same with if I was to leave, it would be, on his end, he'd have to find someone who was, doing the business side to bring in the clients. So it did sort of depend on each other. Luckily, we had a second web developer lined up sort of anyway to take out on any extra work, but there was never enough work for me to fully get him involved with it. So now I've basically promoted him to, lead developer. So he's going to take on Owen's role, who was originally doing the web design, which is good, which is a good thing, and he's produced quality websites previously, and he's happy to work on software. He's older, he's got a degree, all of that, perfect. I think, the big thing is that me and Owen started it, so it's just a shame to see him go. But I suppose you've all got to move on and get on with life, and you just get on with it. He's cooperating, and I think that's the main thing as well. As in, he's given me notice now. He's got 30 days really, but I want us to change this over and transition it as soon as possible. But he was like, any files, any future messages you have, any questions you have, drop him a message, and I'll give him the new web developer's number as well. If there's any files or any code that might be confusing to my new developer, for him to be available to answer any of our questions, which is really good as well. So I couldn't have really asked for a better way out. That situation has gone that way. Couldn't have asked for a better way for him to leave, really. As I said earlier, I do think it's, it's sad because, you make money. It's such a good business model. We're making money online, and I suppose it took me a step back because in those few hours, I was thinking, shit, this is business though. You have your ups and downs. It's not always making lots of money and working with clients. There are the downsides to it as well. And, not a lot of people show that journey and show those downsides. So this is, part of the reason why I'm creating this, to document my journey in, the down times, the up times, and just, tell my journey really. For anyone that's interested, because I want to be able to look back in 6 months' time and see my journey really. So that was a bit hard to hear, but the transition period is still going on, and especially with this new software idea, there's there's a decent amount of money in it. So, but as I said earlier, it shows not everyone's money driven, and I just respect him coming forward and being truthful with me. But so anyway, so I had that message, and sort of in the same window as he messaged me that, had a new client come in the door saying they're interested in a website. Got a meeting set up with them, luckily for next week, but it was a bit difficult because I don't want to get on a call with these new clients and not be able to offer a service. And especially when, we've got some good sponsorships coming up that we're doing with local football clubs and also, golf clubs. And even for my own Instagram, it's like, I might as well rip it all down. I'm not doing next design at all. But I think that was more just, in the moment, you think that. But when you zoom out and take a look at it from the bigger picture, it's not as bad as probably what I thought it was. But it's still, it's still not easy and still not good to hear. But yeah, so I suppose that's been my week. I've had a couple clients book in, a couple calls. I've been mainly working on my new offer around, the AI appointment setters, which is, I think it's going to be a big one. It's obviously quite a lot to manage, this with exams. So, I'm going to have to schedule it around my exams, I suppose, because I don't want to be getting in a position where I'm putting this offer out and people are booking calls in with me and I've got to be, either revising or, actually sitting the exams. I want to have nothing on my mind and be able to, give these full clients that we take on and on board up my full attention because, they deserve it. And also, if we want to see proper results and, tailored results to each client, I need to be on my best game really and have nothing like, exams waiting for me. So I suppose I might consider delaying it and sort of building up and making sure everything's in place for the end date. So then literally I can just get on, have calls with anyone who, any future clients, and there's no messing around with my exam timetable. Yeah, as I said before, it's a bit annoying because I suppose you're pausing making money for some exams, but I suppose it has to be done. And I do have a meeting on Thursday about my degree apprenticeship, which I'm not going to lie, I enjoy, doing the project management. I enjoy going to the office. I enjoy, doing that. And I think that's the difficult thing as well, is that I'm doing this alongside something that I actually genuinely enjoy. It's not like I'm doing a shitty 9 to 5 job that I hate. So I suppose, I'm going to be enrolling. I do wonder how soon I'm going to have to make that decision. Do I go fully at this? Do I go for my degree apprenticeship? But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick at my degree apprenticeship. And, this is always a side income. This is always just extra income. And for me, this is all monthly money. It all builds up on top of my main stream of income. And I think people do shoot themselves in the foot by not realising the longevity of, a job. Like really, people make 5-10K a month online in the business, which is great. You've got your freedom. But then, you could be on 100, 200, 250, 300 grand in a big job. And especially the opportunities that I've got for like, even for me to be qualified project manager out of it and then leave. It's just, that qualification, you'd have to go to uni, I'd have to pay all those debts, and there's just too much opportunity for me to turn it down at the minute. That's sort of like the difficult decision, I'm having at the minute. But obviously there'll be more next week where, I've had that meeting with the people involved around that, and I'll be able to speak more about that in the future. But yeah, I suppose that's been my week for now. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's it for now. We've got a big thing coming up with the local golf club. We're doing some sort of content for them. It's not really in my brief, but me and one of these guys from my community are going down there, and we're gonna get some content for them. Help them in the social media side. First, it's good for my brand to get out there, but also, I'm actually looking forward to going down because there's a lot that goes on at that club that no one really sees and captures, and it's a shame because there is potential there. So, I'm going to be I'm not going to be as involved in it as, this person from my community. He's going to be doing more of like, the actual, he's got the equipment for it, he knows more what he's doing, the video editing, all that. I'm sort of just, overseeing it, going down there, helping out. But, they did come to me and say, would you be interested in helping out? And for me as well, this is on top of everything that I'm trying to do as well, and it's difficult because I do want to say yes, but at the same time, I've got so much going on that I could just do without it, and that's why it's good to brought this guy on from my community, and he's happy to help out, and we're going to work on it together. So I suppose that takes off the workload off me as much. But yeah, so that's sort of been my week, and I'll obviously, I'm doing these every sort of Sunday, and as I said last week, if anyone has any questions, just drop me a DM, and I look forward to documenting my journey, and I'll see you in the next one.